I told him I don't care if we're in the men's room. I'm going to shake your hand. You're Scott Baio. What's up, YouTube? With Sunday in the books, Big Ryan the Fat Guy went 8-5-1 against the spread. That brings our season total to 33, 26, and 3, picking against the spread for a 56% winning percentage. Compete against us.
It's okay, get it out.
Compete against us against the spread each week. Check out the link in the description box below to make your picks for Week 5. Now to what you've come here for. Fat Guy, Week 5's picks. Thursday Night Football. Colts travel to New England to take on the Patriots. 67% are on the Colts. 33% are on the Patriots. At 11 points, who do you like?
11 points is a high number, so I'm going to go with the Indianapolis Colts. They lost to the Houston Texans in overtime. It's not the first time that a Reich got too aggressive on the 41, but I digress. The Colts, they're going to be the pick. It was an emotional loss for them. It was an emotional win for the Patriots, a blowout. Things were high. When Tom Brady's dancing, there's a problem. I'm going to take the Colts in a short week. It's just too many points. But to be honest, I'm not too jazzed about this game coming up on Thursday.
Sunday's early games. Let's move on to Baltimore at Cleveland. Right now, the line is out very early. 3 points. Cleveland are underdogs. There's no percentage yet. Fat Guy, just looking at 3 points. Who do you like, the Baltimore Ravens or Cleveland Browns?
Ravens look great. They look fantastic. Cleveland looked a little better than usual, but they lost in the most Cleveland fashion. The refs put their finger in the Cleveland Browns thresher.
Stick it in my thresher.
And they lost in the most Cleveland way in overtime. I'm still going to go with the Browns, though. I have a little bit of optimism. They had a lot of turnovers in Oakland. I think they're going to be able to clean it up just a little bit. The Ravens do look good, but they don't play necessarily well against the Cleveland Browns. The Browns seem to be able to put up a fight, and this Browns team is a little bit better than past years. So I am going to take the Cleveland Browns, and I'm going to take the points.
Jacksonville at Kansas City, 69% are on the Jags, 31% are on the Chiefs. The Chiefs are 3-point favorites at home. Fat Guy, the Chiefs haven't played yet this week for us. We're releasing this Sunday night, but who do you like?
I've been picking the Jags every week, and I have been picking the Chiefs every week. And you'd think I'm going to continue that, but I'm not. Things could happen tomorrow. I actually like Denver tomorrow. I think Denver is going to be very difficult for Kansas City. But I think Kansas City is going to be very difficult offensively for Jacksonville's very good defense. I like the Chiefs here, and I like them at home. And that's one of the tougher plays to play. Arrowhead, you know, they got that horse running around and that guy who's really awful on the megaphone. I'm going to go with the Kansas City Chiefs. I do like them in this game, despite the strong defense of Jacksonville.
Next up, we have Tennessee traveling to Buffalo to take on the Bills. 67% of early bettors are on Tennessee. 33% are on Buffalo. The line is 4. Tennessee being favorites. Fat Guy, who you like?
I think this is an easy one. Buffalo seems to be following a really nice pattern. Play like shit, get blown out, then pull off a big upset. Play like shit, get blown out, then let's pull off an upset. I like the Buffalo Bills, and you're getting to take points at home. It is kind of hard to play in Buffalo, so I'm definitely going to be taking the Bills, and this is a better one for me. 3.5 is a good number. Right over 3. Lose by a field goal or win. Let's go Buffalo Bills.
And the Bills are 4-point favorites, so it's even better. Even at 4, you get a push.
Just line up the juice for me, Big Rye.
Next up, we have the Giants traveling to Carolina to take on the Panthers. 20% of early bettors are on the Giants. +7. Carolina, 80%, 7-point favorites. Fat Guy, who you like?
I'm going to be taking the New York Giants. I seem to be taking them every week. I actually don't think they're that good a team. I was hoping they'd have a better performance against New Orleans. That didn't come to fruition. They're going into Carolina, who's on a bye week, so they should be prepared. But I think 7 points is a big number. I don't think Carolina is that great of a team. I do think they're better than the Giants, but 7 points, nah. I'm going to take the points. I'm going to take the New York Football Giants.
Next up, we have Denver traveling to New York to take on the Jets. The line is out early. There's no percentage yet. But the Jets are 1-point favorites at home. Denver's yet to play. Fat Guy, who you like?
Like you said, Denver hasn't played, so things could change. But as it stands, I'm going to be taking the New York Jets at home. They just came off a difficult road game against the Jacksonville Jaguars. One they weren't supposed to win. They weren't even supposed to do well in, and they didn't. However, though, I think they're going to be able to get their stuff together, and that defense is going to show up against this Denver offense, which really isn't that strong, I feel. I do like the New York Jets this week, and this is a pretty decent one for me.
Next up, we have the Atlanta Falcons traveling to Pittsburgh to take on the Steelers. There's no percentage out yet because the line is fresh. Pittsburgh -3. Fat guy, who you like?
God, keep going with this team. They played awful. I don't particularly like this team, being a Browns fan, but I'm going to go with the Pittsburgh Steelers. They got to have a better showing at home. I think Tomlin's jaw might be in jeopardy, to be perfectly honest. But will that bring the best out of him? We're going to have to see. And Atlanta's defense has just been putrid. Really has. I will be honest to you Falcons fans, there have been injuries. However, though, a lot of people seem to think that Atlanta was going to go 14-2 and win the Super Bowl. At least when we put out that video that only 20 people watched. I like the Pittsburgh Steelers, and I think they're going to have a bounce back at home.
Next up, we have Green Bay traveling to Detroit to take on the Lions. 73% of early bettors are on the Packers, 27% on the Lions. Lions are 1.5-point underdogs at home. Fat guy, who you got?
I'm going to take the Detroit Lions here. Like I said, I don't think they're that great of a team. They did have one great performance against New England, but that might have been predicated on Matt Patricia knowing New England inside and out. They'd lost a more or less kind of a thriller in Dallas. I still think Dallas should have covered. Elliott got massive yards. Maybe this will be when Aaron Jones breaks out, because he had a pretty decent game on not that many carries just this past weekend. Green Bay did blow out Buffalo, though. The game was kind of out of hand. Also, I want to note that Aaron Rodgers looked like he was very, very healthy for a guy that had a pretty what seemed like serious knee injury that he's played through since week 1 in Chicago. But I am going to take the Detroit Lions. I do like Matt Stafford, and I think that receiving trio of Marvin Jones Jr., Kenny Golladay, and the yard after the catch master Golden Tate is pretty tough to stop. I don't know if the young corners are going to be able to meet the challenge in Detroit. So I'm going to take the Lions.
The last Sunday early game is Miami traveling to Cincinnati to take on the Bengals. 54% are on Miami early. 46% are on Cincinnati. Cincinnati surprisingly 6-point favorites at home. Fat guy, who you like?
Now I'm going to be appeasing the masses. This is actually the first game where I actually feel good about Miami. They got blown out by New England, like I thought that would happen. It was a humbling beatdown, but I think they're going to be able to rebound here against Cincinnati. And Cincinnati has been one of my darlings. I thought they were going to win the division, which is looking not so bad now. I'm going to take the Miami Dolphins. We're going to fins up it, and I'm going to take the points. And I feel good about this one.
Way to jinx the Dolphins. Next up,
I know.
Sunday's midday games. Oakland travels to LA to take on the Chargers. 60% of early bettors are on the Raiders, 40% on the Chargers. Chargers are 6.5-point favorites at home. Fat guy, who you like?
This past weekend, I somehow made Oakland my survivor pick. And that was it because I wanted to be cool, like an uncredited cameo.
You had to sweat that one out, that's for sure.
I certainly did. Oakland didn't look that good doing it. The defense had some positives that I hadn't seen. Maurice Hurst looks to be the real deal. Arden Key saw some meaningful snaps. Bruce Irvin was okay, but they're still not very good. They're really slow. Derek Johnson is slow. Leon Hall is not fast. I mean, they're just old and plodding, it feels like the Raiders. I do have a soft spot for the Raiders and their power run scheme, but I'm going to be taking the Chargers here. And I think the Chargers are going to have a bit of a bounce back. They won. I'll give it. They won. They played like shit, though, against the 49ers. And the 49ers really had no business being in that game. And the 49ers almost won. It wasn't that hard. They were against C.J. Beathard. C.J. beat hard. They weren't against Jimmy Garoppolo. The one thing that's alarming for me about the Chargers, I feel like their coaching isn't up to snuff. They got really embarrassed by Kansas City, and they've had some lackluster games just like last weekend. So I'm going to be taking the LA Chargers despite that. Hopefully they'll be able to beat the Raiders, who they have beat in both speed, youth, and talent. So LA Chargers is the pick.
Next up, we have the Arizona Cardinals traveling to San Francisco to take on the 49ers. 82% of early bets are on Arizona, only 18% on San Francisco. San Francisco is 4-point favorites at home. Fat guy, who you got?
Well, we keep taking the Arizona Cardinals, and it's going to switch this week. I'm going to take the 49ers. I mean, I've been taking them a bit too. 49ers covered this weekend, and it was a decent showing. I mean, they dinked and dunked, and it was very plodding effort, but it was something. The Arizona defense on the road, I don't know if they'll be as good as the Chargers defense. I think it could be a comfortable San Francisco win. They're going to come with a different game plan, and I might have a little bit more faith in C.J. Beathard going ahead. I don't know if I'm ever saying his name right, and I don't think I ever will. Josh Rosen isn't going to be the answer this year, and Sam Bradford certainly isn't either. So I'm going to take the San Francisco 49ers. I'm going to lay the points.
Next up, we have the Minnesota Vikings traveling to Philadelphia to take on the Eagles. 70% of early bettors are on the Vikings, only 30% on the Eagles at home as 3-point favorites. Fat Guy, who you got?
I'm going to fly high with the Eagles. The purple and gold, shit doesn't get easy, does it? First you head to LA to play the really hot Rams. Now you're going to head to Philadelphia and play the defending Super Bowl champs who are angry off their more or less embarrassing loss. I don't find it a shocker. I like Tennessee in that game. But I'm going to take the Philadelphia Eagles at home. So far, that hasn't really been a popular pick. It seems like if you lose to the Titans, people don't have any faith in you. But remember the Titans. They seem to be a decent football team headed by Mike Vrabel. So I'm going to be taking the Philadelphia Eagles in a close affair against the Minnesota Vikings.
The last Sunday midday game is the LA Rams traveling to Seattle to take on the Seahawks. 73% of early bettors are on the Rams. Only 27% are on the Seahawks at home as 7.5-point underdogs. At home, Seattle's excellent. Fat Guy, who you got?
Well, Seattle and excellent shouldn't really be said in the same sentence this season. I mean, they're 2-2. I'm bashing them a little bit hard, but I still don't think they have a lot of talent. That being said, they're playing the Rams. The Rams can't look any better. I go against them every week because I feel like the line has to be set so huge because they're so difficult to play. They look fantastic in every facet. Their defense is a bit banged up, and it did have a little bit of holes in against I'm going to say a talented skill position team in the Minnesota Vikings, but they also have a weak O-line. Well, speaking of weak O-lines, I'm still going to take the Seattle Seahawks. I seem to like the Seahawks at home, especially when they're playing a team that's riding high. And they're playing the Rams in a divisional affair, and I'm going to take the Seattle Seahawks, and I'm going to take the points, frankly.
Sunday night football, a battle of Texas. The Dallas Cowboys travel to Houston to take on the Texans. Early on, 64% of bettors are on the Cowboys. Only 36% are on the Texans as 3-point favorites at home. Fat Guy, who you got?
Both teams enjoyed decent wins on the weekend. Houston in more or less a thriller in overtime, and Dallas in more or less a thriller at home, just scoring right at the end to win the game against the Lions. They both had a good weekend, but they're both not really strong teams. I think we can all agree on that. I'm going to be taking the Houston Texans. The one thing I'm worried about is it's more or less a neutral field, I feel, with Dallas having so much representation, especially within the state. But I'm going to take the Texans because I feel they're just more talented football team. It's going to be an ugly slop job, though. Let's be perfectly honest. I have to put it in every podcast. I say it perfectly honest. Is this a podcast? Who knows? So I'm going to take the Houston Texans, and I'm going to lay the points.
Monday Night Football, the Washington Redskins, coming off a bye, travel to New Orleans to take on the Saints. 67% of bettors early on are on the Skins, only 33% on the Saints as 7-point favorites at home. Fat Guy, who you got?
Here, Big Rye, he says everything so phonetically. New Orleans. It's like he says Colonel as Colonel. It's Nolans, bro. How many times I gotta say it, you Canadian fuck? I'm going to be taking the Washington Redskins. I go against New Orleans every week. I know, and they beat the Giants. I lost on that pick, but I'm going to take the Redskins. Redskins are coming off a bye. New Orleans are coming off a strong road win. New Orleans is also going to be enjoying the company of Mark Ingram, I believe. That should be a bit of a boost, and I think Kamara's going to cool off a bit. But I think Washington's just a good team. I really do. I'm not saying they're going to win the game. I'm not saying that. But 7 points is decent. If they can keep it close, I think that is possible. Washington's a tough team to deal with. The Redskins are underrated. The New Orleans is a little bit highly rated, I think. So I'm going to take the Washington Redskins and the points.
All right, Fat Guy, you don't know what time it is. It's the lightning round. Indy at New England.
Indianapolis Colts.
Baltimore at Cleveland.
Browns with the backdoor cover in the brown.
Jacksonville at Kansas City.
Kansas City Chiefs.
Tennessee at Buffalo.
Buffalo Bills.
Giants at Carolina.
The New York Football Giants.
Denver at the Jets.
Meet the Jets. Greet the Jets.
Atlanta at Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh.
Green Bay at Detroit.
The Detroit Lions.
Miami at Cincinnati.
The Miami Dolphins. Fins up.
Sunday midday games. Oakland at the LAC.
The LA Chargers, who apparently lost the fight for LA.
Arizona at San Francisco.
I also like San Francisco in a backdoor cover.
Weird. Minnesota at Philly.
The Philadelphia Eagles.
LA Rams at Seattle.
Seattle Seahawks at home.
Sunday Night Football, the battle for Texas, Dallas at Houston.
Houston Texans.
And to finish us up, Monday Night Football, Washington Redskins at the New Orleans Saints.
I'll finish you off with the Washington Redskins.
Thanks for the hand. Bronies, that's it for us. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, and tell your friends about Big Ryan the Fat Guy.
Or don't, whatever.
Or don't, whatever. We don't really care. And also compete against us by clicking on the link below. Good luck in Week 5. I'm serious, it was Scott Bale.